Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Auto Accident Attorneys Podcast. I am your host at Attorney Ali, and this show is sponsored by the Auto Accident Attorneys Group, where we take care of you. As you all listeners know by now, that this show is about so much more than just auto accidents. Today, I have a very close and dear friend of mine as one of our guests. It is an after hours show, so we have poured ourselves Athens' finest Tropicalia IPAs. Shout out to Tropicalia. Today we're joined by one of my closest friends, a disaster recovery specialist, Mr. Adam Humphreys. Adam, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to meet with me today.
Oh, it's awesome to be here with you, man. Seriously. I'm super excited to sit down and get to shoot the breeze with you some.
I'm so excited that you finally decided to come on because I've always long thought that you had the perfect voice for a podcast, and I can't wait to listen to this in my own car.
I love it. No, I've been sitting here thinking about how great your voice sounds, man. This is just too much.
Oh my gosh, so much mutual love.
I love it.
If you guys are listening, you don't see on video, but we also have our resident dog on the podcast today with us. So Jetty is here. Hopefully I'll try my best to keep her off of you, Adam.
Oh, she's a sweetie pie. She's no problem at all. I love it. Brings a charm to the office.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
Adam, do me a favor, do our listeners a favor. Introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us about what has led you to where you are today.
Okay, absolutely. It's a pretty good story as well. My name's Adam Humphreys. I've been in the Atlanta area for 20 plus years now, and I've owned a pretty successful disaster recovery company by the name of Essex Roofing and Restorations. A lot of you listeners may not know what disaster recovery is. So when something goes wrong at your home or your business or your rental property, right? Tree falls through the house in the middle of the night, tenant causes a fire, so on and so forth. I'm actually the guy that you call. We get out there in the middle of the night, we bring the crane, get the tree out of the home, get you temporarily sheltered, a place to stay. And then most importantly, and this probably rings through to you, Ali, we help them out with dealing with the insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So important, that first initial contact. And the way I like our listeners to think of me and my outfit is that we're kind of like a liaison when something goes wrong, right? We want to be out there on the scene as soon as it happens, making the best choices to safeguard your home. And at the same time, making sure that you are in the best position possible going into your insurance claim,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have to ask you this, Ali. Yeah, I'm sure you find this true with customers. A lot of them don't know how to navigate the insurance process, do they?
No, well, I can't say none of them.
Sure.
We've had people that actually have called up and it's been a simple enough issue where I've told them, it seems like you might be able to do this on your own. So if you'd like to give that a shot, do it. I'm always here as a backstop. That's not really great advice for the majority of people, but
Certainly.
there are certain people that have either gone through it before or someone like yourself who has had to deal with insurance claims, albeit not on an injury side, but on property casualty, but you sort of understand how they're setting everything up against you. So you're a bit more conservative about how you approach it and what you turn over.
I don't know. I'd like to add in a plug for you because quite honestly, I've been doing property and casualty for 20 something years now, right? But if I go to the dentist or if I have to deal with something with healthcare, I don't have the first idea of what I'm doing, and even though I do understand a lot of the nomenclature and what they might be talking about and be able to negotiate, I don't know the intricacies and the law and the policy side the way that you do. So no disrespect, but I disagree. I think somebody like you is incredibly important. Yeah, I mean, you could go through and come out with some bruised knees and banged up and be all right, or you could come out squeaky clean the way you should be set up for success in the future.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And thank you for the plug.
Yeah.
It's always appreciated. But there are certain times if it's not catastrophic, they're a little bit gun shy about retaining counsel to begin with. It's the minority of circumstances. I certainly, the one thing I say is, especially on my end, it never costs you anything. At least meet with me.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation. And it's possible that I tell you, hey, it sounds like you might be able to do this. Or I had a phone call today where I advised the person on what to do. It was a low speed, minor impact, nothing going on. I was like, listen, you don't need an attorney, just handle it this way. And I sort of gave them an outline on what to do.
No, I love it. I try and do the same thing with my customers as well, because you're right. Not everything is always catastrophic.
Right.
And let's be real. You and I deal with people when they're not in their best state of minds. And so sometimes people just need to be kind of coolly talked through something and told what to do. And I think that's how you treat people. And I applaud you for that, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But getting back to your question, you had asked me what led up to me being here and what it is that I did, my story, if you will. I studied architecture in college. Thought I was going to come out and be, designing homes and communities and just having a lot of fun with all that. And you get a little older and you realize, wow, architects don't always make the money that you want to make. And so I started going into construction management, and I ended up getting a second degree with specialty in real estate land development. All that was great and well, but I came out during the downturn. And people weren't bringing on interns, let alone, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kids that graduated with honors that want the world, right? They're looking for the people with gray hair and big bellies that have the experience, and they're willing to work for less because it's a tough time,
Right.
But what was neat with that is that I came out of school and I'm like, I have to find a way to be different than everybody else. I can't just be doing small remodeling jobs myself and bartending in the evenings, like that's not the way to go. And I ended up opening up the newspaper and found a job knocking doors for construction sales. And I said, hey, at least this is something. It's a little continuity. The reason I tell you all that is this. I discovered the disaster recovery industry from that. Originally I was going out and knocking doors, asking people if I could inspect their roofs, trying to scrounge up business. But I learned about this process, how daunting it can be, and how everything that I went for school for really falls into it. And what I like is the challenge on the other side of it, having to deal with the insurance companies, having to be the expert. Even though you're up against them, you're still the expert, and having to remember that and remind yourself of that and negotiate the situations as such. I took a job out of college working for a small local company, helped blow them up and make them national. Ended up going into business with a good friend of mine from college. I believe you know him, Alborz Barzagar.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah, we started a heck of a company, let me tell you, man. And started working all over the Southeast, and it's been great. You guys probably seen some of our vehicles riding around with the big lions on them. We've been in this community for about 16 plus years. I love it. I wasn't master planning the communities and, determining different social economic factors that'll help our cities grow like I thought I would. But I find it very challenging. And most importantly, it's very rewarding to me. And I'm sure you can relate to this, right? Handling somebody when they're at their worst, and like getting to come in and like really help them make heads and tails of things. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty radical. Not everybody can do it. You got to have some thick skin at times, and you got to remember, hey, this could be you too. You know what I mean? But it's so rewarding getting people through that and getting them on the other side of something that could take months and months to get through. You know what I mean? It's rewarding. I love it.
Well, whether it's injury side, like what I do, or property casualty with you, it's an injury to their home.
Their life as they know it.
Everything has been turned upside down in a moment. They don't know. At the end of it, you, like myself, at the end of the process, they come to know you, love you, trust you, and they refer you out to 100%. Others. But on the beginning, a lot of times, unless it's a repeat client, you're a stranger. So they're mad at everyone, and they don't know exactly why or who is responsible for what. So that delay process and getting the claim set up or getting liability accepted, or for yours, getting things approved, a lot of times they might lay that at your feet or at my feet. It is art and not science in trying to explain and handhold and comfort and really gain their trust to be like, listen, I need you to trust that what I'm doing, guiding you down this path, is the correct way. And there's no way you could do it for somebody or get someone to understand it on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through that process with that person so that they can look back understanding the whole thing.
Agreed. It's like I tell my customers, I'm like, especially dealing with a large loss, right? Like a fire in a home or something like that. You're displaced 6 to 8 months, whatever.
Right.
And I tell them, I'm like, you guys love me now. You think I'm the guy on the white horse with blonde curly hair riding it. I'm the hero, right? what's going to happen is we're going to get you guys placed, and then everything's going to stop. And all the behind the scenes stuff with the insurance is going to take place, which I believe you were just referencing, for your industry, right?
Yeah.
It goes quiet for a long while. And then they don't know if the insurance is taking forever or if you're taking forever. I tell them, I'm like, look, I'm going to come in on the white horse. I'm going to become a villain. And then as soon as we get our approvals and we get to move and start working, I'm the hero again. And just know to expect this. I'm telling you guys, I've done this for too long. This is how it's going to go. And 9 times out of 10, it does. And then they look back and say, thanks for telling me that up front, But that's something, as with your firm, that we only get from experience, right?
Right.
From serving our communities as long as you and I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As a very good friend, you've listened to a few of the episodes.
More than a few. Yeah.
So that the podcast is set up to really expand on our tagline, "We take care of you." So it is a direct to consumer podcast. I've referenced saying Dadvice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have guests on, I like to discuss things that people may not know about or may not think about on the front end. What we were just talking about, they only trust you after you walk down that path.
Right.
If there's an opportunity to have a conversation for people to have before they're ever in that situation, that helps them make decisions on that beginning part of the journey where the trust needs to come in before they walk that path down with somebody, I would love to have that from your perspective on the disaster recovery side.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to do it. And if I may, there's a few tips I might leave at the end too, just to help out our...
It's like you already know the format.
Yeah, there we go. I may have listened once or twice. Dealing with an insurance claim is never easy, nor is it something that anybody looks forward to or wishes to do, right? And let's be real, it always typically happens after something catastrophic has happened, right? So what I always like to tell people is just slow down and call somebody. Slow down and call your mom, call your friend from church, call your best friend. You know what I mean? Calm down and tell them what's going on. They're going to be real. They're going to talk with you, right? Kind of take it down a notch or two. And then after that, it's really important to find somebody like me. What you don't want to do is go off and just contact the insurance. Hey, I see a spot on my ceiling. There's something going on, right? The reason for that is you end up giving information to the insurance companies about your home and about your property, and you might trigger an unnecessary inspection. And, you had a stain on your ceiling that you called in about, and you didn't realize that you filed a claim, but you did. Now you've lost a no claim discount. Okay, because you're not going to go through with it. They're not going to pay out above your deductible for a spot on the ceiling. And now they know that there's issues with your property, right? Mm-hmm. So what a good, responsible homeowner should do is maintain their property, right? Which is why I want to come out and look at everything, see if it's a small maintenance issue, right? I, being a member of our community, care about your no claim discount, right? I don't want you filing a false claim and hurting your pocketbook at the end of the day. What I'd rather do is kind of like what you described earlier, is come in and look at something and say, hey, this is a maintenance thing. Hey, this is small. You can do X, Y, Z. I can have one of my guys do X, Y, Z. With all that being said, let's say that we really have something catastrophic. There was a fire in the house, right? I want to contact your insurance company, okay? Let's say that this fire was caused by an electrical storm. Tree branch hit the above ground power wires. They hit your roof. They arc and the house catches fire. Right? Well, a typical homeowner would call in and probably say, hey, I want to file a homeowner's claim, right? Guess what? You're going down the wrong path. We want to pull up weather services. We want to understand what's happened in the area. Why did that tree branch fall? Was there inclement weather? And a lot of times there is. And now we can file what's called a CAT claim or a catastrophe claim. And the neat thing about this that our average listener, a homeowner, wouldn't know is that when you file a catastrophe claim, something has happened in that geographic zip code that was affected to many homes, and they consequently have to put out a bit of money for it, right? So what happens is they say, hey, you know what? This was an act of God. There's no way that, 20,000 homes in this zip code got affected. You know what I mean? And it was because of bad maintenance or poor maintenance, right? So we want to go down that path because now it can't count against you. A lot of people don't realize that, man. And when you're dealing with a fire or you're dealing with your dishwasher flooding and you have to replace your floors, how this claim starts off going down that path makes all the difference. So it's so much easier to get somebody who's knowledgeable, kind of weigh what's going on, give you the quick options, right? This is above your deductible. This is below your deductible. Not just looking at the dollars and cents, but hey, if we do this, it might trigger X, Y, Z, and your home is not the code. And so be ready. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel it's really important to advise people of that. Because at the end of the day, as rates and premiums keep rising, as they do in this economy, right? If you've got dings against your record, they're that much more important now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having that advisement and going down the right path is definitely the way to go. But there are a few things that I would like to tell our listeners about. Just simple, small tips that'll save you a ton of money. You should walk around your home every 6 months and look at it. Even if you don't know what you're looking at, walk around the outside of your home, look at your roof line. If you've got a crawl space, stick your head down in there. Doesn't mean you got to get on your belly and crawl around, but just look, smell, see. Especially here in the South, we go through so much thermal and expansion contraction, hot summers, cold winters, and it's really hard on materials. And what might be something small that looks like a knothole that might have a little rot in it, if you leave it unattended, you're not looking every 6 months, and you don't pay the handyman $150 to fix it, it can end up being a $23,000 claim down the road because you have rot and structural damage inside your home. So guys, just walk around, take a peek at your house. It's the biggest asset in your life. So enjoy it a little bit. Another big thing that I would really recommend to people is if something doesn't seem right, don't wait. Don't push it off. Hop on the internet, hop on Google, call up Adam Humphreys. I'd be happy to explain it to you, but understand your home and the systems that are in it and know how old they are. You know what I mean? Just a couple simple things like that could save you a lot of grief down the road, just like making sure your brake pads are good and your brake lights are functional before you hop in the car. I mean, gosh, how many times did you do that today? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one of the reasons that people are gun shy to uh, reach out to somebody if they do find something is that we live in a day and age where you think you're going to get got,
Sure.
right? Like,
100%.
I don't want somebody to come in here, upsell me or sell me something I don't need. So is there any way, if you were in the customer's shoes,
Mhm.
the homeowner shoes, is there a way that you would either vet people or how do you choose your vendor? Let me leave it at
Yeah, I get it. I think word of mouth is a really important thing this day and age. And I'm not talking about reviews left on Google or looking somebody's up on Angie's list. I think being a part of your community, like I said earlier, something bad happens, stop. Talk to a friend, talk to a member of your community, calm down a second, de-escalate, catch your breath. Most likely they're going to say, hey, you know what? You got in this car accident, AAA group. They've helped out my aunt. They were amazing. Or, hey, this tree's through your house, call Adam. He helped out my uncle's brother, back 10 years ago. But stuff like that makes a big difference, especially in the community we live in, guys. I mean, Marietta, East Cobb, Roswell is special. It's not like a lot of our downtown, where people just don't know people. So take a chat, get to know one another. But honestly, I think word of mouth is great. And then also, it's going to be hard for the average client to understand to look for this, but insurance with contractors, guys, are so important. So many contractors will buy what they call a general liability certificate, and they'll show it to you and say, hey, I've got insurance, and you think you're great and covered. That's just in case they knock a hole in your wall when they're working. If their guy falls off the roof or, God forbid something should happen, you're not covered. You know what I mean? So that's incredibly important.
That's Dadvice. A lot of people don't think about that. You're so busy thinking about the project, the price, and what it's going to cost you. You forget that you need insurance for that
100%.
project to go down too. You want to make sure if things go sideways that there's coverage. And that's one thing that I don't think people think about.
Yeah.
So what would you? I'm a homeowner.
Mhm.
I've brought you in. We've diagnosed some repairs that need to be made. Before I sign on the line that is dotted, what do I do to make sure that I'm protected as far as your bonds or
100%. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because bonds are something that are misunderstood actually. In the residential world, bonds are typically for commercial jobs, larger jobs where you are expected to perform. And if you don't perform, it's basically a surety saying, hey, we're going to pay if this guy messes up. That's not something you see in the residential world, though. No, things that homeowner should be asking before they sign on anything is, can you please have your insurance company email me your certificate of insurance to my email address and name me as the party. Is a very simple thing. Insurance offices are used to getting this day in and day out. It should be a very normal thing for your contractor. If they squeam or there's an issue, don't sign. There's a reason that they're squeaming.
And you want it directly from their insurance company.
100%. Yeah, because there's no way that they can go in and, with computers and technology these days, you can change a date, make it look like you're current. You want it from their insurance company.
Right.
And any good reputable contractor, this is daily practice. It's what we do. It's not a problem, right? So definitely look for that, guys.
That was worth the price of admission alone.
I love it. I love it. Very good.
I know that there's like disaster stories, nightmare stories to discuss. But before we get there, I want to talk about some of the practical logistics that customers face when they have to reach out to a disaster recovery specialist. To begin with, step one, we're going to pretend that somebody hasn't listened to this and they don't know Adam Humphreys.
Sure.
When they go to Google, what is it that they should be Googling?
Yeah.
Step one, and you give me the scenario first. Are we doing fire, tree through the roof?
Let's do a tree through the roof.
Okay, tree through the roof, which is we're full of pine trees in Georgia.
Yeah.
So that happens. What does a homeowner do when they wake up with a tree through the roof?
Absolutely. The first thing I would do is call the local fire department and have them come out and make sure all the utilities and everything are safe and good. And then after that, don't go calling a tree company. So many people would think step one, have the tree taken off my home. There are so many fly-by-night tree companies out there. It's not even funny. I would recommend contacting a general contractor, somebody like myself, seek out storm damage contractors, read a couple of quick reviews, and then call 2 or 3 people. And if you've got a legitimate disaster recovery company, it shouldn't be, hey, I can get out to you in a couple days, or hey, I'm going to send a tarp crew by. It should be, hey, we're coming out to put eyes on this right away, and we will assess what needs to happen next. If you don't see that urgency, there's definitely something wrong there, or it might just be a chuck in a truck trying to pick up a job.
Truck in a truck.
Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but in the state of Georgia, you don't have to have licenses to do all the construction work that's done out here. Roofing is a big part of that, right?
Yeah.
You literally have to have a business license, and that's it.
Yeah.
So anybody could be doing this work. So you definitely have to have some wherewithal when you're selecting people.
We actually found that out on you mentioned tree removal companies. We found that out for tree cutting. We represent a family in a wrongful death case.
Oh, wow.
Involving a downed tree. And I had no idea up until having that case that there is no licensing. And what's really interesting about the tree industry, there's really great actors. There are the truck in a truck for sure.
Absolutely.
But there's really great actors in that industry. And I say that because I've come to learn about them. I've met a few of them. They are going and being proactive. They as an industry are leading the charge. They're spearheading the request for the state to have licensing and registration requirements. They're asking the state to come in and regulate.
100%. It's the same way with roofing. There's been petitions that have been going around for 7-8 years now, and people like me are like, please pass this. We need some regulation. You know what I mean? And on the flip side of that too, I can't even tell you how many claims that should be awarded for insurance damage due to storm damage for roofs get denied because of improper install. Literally, the installer didn't put the nail on the right line, and they come out and they look at it and say, sorry, this wasn't installed the right way.
So from years prior,
correct,
they're gone. It was installed improperly. Storm comes in. You have a valid claim, but because that installer from way back when, oh, that's wild.
Correct. So that's why people like me, like true specialists in this industry, right? We're like, we need this.
Yeah.
We need this. And it's honestly not fair to the homeowners, and it's not fair to the insurance companies either. And we can get into a whole side conversation on that and how the insurance companies should be inspecting homes before they insure them. But no, it's not a good scenario for anyone.
I was just thinking about the fact, what if somebody buys a house and the roof was installed incorrectly? I'm assuming you would hope that your inspector catches that. But I don't remember the last time I ever saw a home inspector go on a roof.
They don't. They fly a drone or they look out a bedroom window and snap a couple pictures. Some of them might go as far as to take a ladder and put it up to the gutter line and snap a couple pictures, make it look like you're looking up the roof.
Yeah.
But that's it. They're just looking at, hey, overall appearance, what does this look like? Does that look funny? Let's put a note, have a licensed roofer look at this,
Mm.
and it's unfortunate. Roofing is one of the largest maintenance expenses a homeowner will have to go through in home ownership. The average person gets a roof replaced 1.5 times in their life, but this is something that costs, tens of thousands of dollars. An average home these days is about, 18 to 20 grand to put a roof on.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just an average home. So if you think about that, there's a lot of dissurface not getting up there, not looking. And there's so many simple, small things that could be taken care of with a tube of caulk, or a wrongful denial of a claim could be avoided by somebody just getting up and lifting a couple shingles and looking underneath them.
Yeah. I interrupted your flow of our scenario that we had set up as a
Thank you.
pine tree through the roof.
Yes.
They go to Google, they make a couple, fire department first.
Fire department, and then please call somebody like me. And we started talking about how if you talk to that friend, that family member, somebody in the community, most likely they know somebody who's been through this and they have a referral for you. And this is how I do my business. That's why I recommend it. I'm great. I know I'm probably going to get called in this community. You want to have that contractor. You want to call 2 or 3 people. You want to see them have that sense of urgency. I think what I was saying before is like, it shouldn't be, hey, I'll get to you in the next couple days, or we're going to put a tarp by and we'll be by next week. It should be, let's get out right away and see what's going on. We've got somebody en route. They'll be there within an hour, and then at that point in time, look up that contractor. They're going to come out. They're going to say, hey, we need to move. We need to do this. We need to do that. That's when that contractor should be having a phone call with you to your insurance company to initiate a claim, to verify certain coverages that you may or may not have. So you're not stuck with a $20,000 tree removal bill at the end of the claim, right? So that's definitely the next step. Is there should be a conversation together with that contractor and with your insurance company. And then I would say the biggest thing after that is you do have to have a little trust in them, and you're going to have to sign a contract. Because if you're doing emergency service work, it's not something that you get to wait and schedule. It's, hey, there's a pine tree through the house. Most likely if there's a pine tree through the house, it's probably raining or there's other bands of rain that are coming. So let's be swift. Let's be quick. Let's keep this from becoming something worse. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it needs to move. It needs to move quick.
100%. And so, depending on the weather conditions and the structural condition after a tree has struck a home like that, it might be that it's best to tarp it off, cut some limbs, make it so you have a reasonable tarp that'll function through the night, and get out there in the morning. Sometimes, I kid you not, probably about 8-9 years ago, we had a hurricane blow through and we had a bobcat out pulling a tree out of my friend Sean Griffin's house. If you're hearing this, Sean, hey, it's good to see you.
Shout out Sean Griffin.
Right. But we had to do it because there was just so much rain coming and such high winds. There was no way to be able to tarp it off and make it through the night. Swiftness is definitely the thing, and they should have all their resources lined up. You shouldn't be hearing, hey, I couldn't get a crane to come. But this is why you work with a general contractor, because they know who the Chuck and the trucks are in the community, and they know who the real players are, right? And they have the relationships because they've worked with them for years and years. And you can pick up the phone. I can call, my good friend, and he'll hop in the car and come out and make it happen. Right. What I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're paying for a lot more than somebody who just says they're a GC and stands around with a cup of coffee in their hand,
Right. It's a true community resource.
100%.
That's what it is.
Now, things I will say, if you're having to sign that contract, a few things to look for, okay? As with any kind of service contract in the state of Georgia, it should clearly state on there that you have a 3 business day cool down period. If it doesn't say it on their contract, they're probably not the professional company that you're looking for. Another important thing is it should state in there that there is not any cost to you outside of your deductible, with the exception of any kind of voluntary upgrades. So if something happens to your home, your contractor should not be coming back down the line and saying, hey, I would love to put the marble back out on the floors you have, but it's gone up because of, inflation and this and that. So we're going to have to put some Formica in. No, it doesn't work that way. The insurance pays for like, kind, and quality, and any insurance contractor such as myself that is worth their weight in salt will know how to get that taken care of with the insurance company. So there should be no negotiating, no bargaining, none of that should be clearly stated in that contract. And I think the last important thing to look for when you're signing it is going to be a payment schedule. This is where a lot of companies vary. Okay. A good financially sound company that does this will treat you just like any body shop will. There'll be a deductible they expect you to pay. When the insurance company sends the first check, you give it to them, they begin the work, they take care of the work, right? If something is found that wasn't covered in that initial report, there's a bad fender or something that we didn't know about, right? Then they add a supplemental check. You get another payment for that. And then at the end, when everything's done and you've signed off, they send that last payment. So it should work that way 100% of the time. But there's a lot of companies out there, and especially the ones that are responding to stuff in the middle of the night that want you to sign and they want a credit card number right then and there. It's dangerous because if you think about it, they're putting their interest before your interest. They're just like, hey, I just want to do this job and get paid.
Right.
I don't care about where that money comes from.
Right.
And somebody who's a professional at this is going to say, hang on a second. They're going to have the wherewithal and know, okay, do we have this endorsement? Can I do X amount of work up to so many dollars without the home? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're checking to make sure that there's going to be coverage so that the homeowner is not coming out of pocket.
100%.
You're reviewing policies.
100%. Well, I'm legally not allowed to review policies, but I do know the endorsements I know the buzzwords,
Okay.
but legally I'm not allowed to review policies as a contractor. So that's another thing.
I did not know that.
Yes. If you have a contractor who's coming and saying, oh, I know the insurance company and I'm going to review your policy and do this, that, and the other, and we're going to maximize this, that's a conflict of interest. It's actually illegal in the state of Georgia. You're supposed to be a licensed PA and be a contractor, but not two together. So,
And PA is public adjuster?
Very good. You got it. Absolutely.
I've been looking at Google.
Have you? I love it. I love it. So if people come in and they start saying things of that nature, they typically are there to milk the insurance company. They're going to come in and squeeze it for all they can and do your repair and be on the way. And honestly, I think what you guys need is a good, honest person who has a track record of working with the insurance company, who can get things done, but they're not going to tell you, hey, I can waive your deductible. Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do that, because they're successful businesses that have been established for a long time. And I'm sorry, but in this industry, you don't exist if you play those tricks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was something I was going to actually ask, and you just went ahead and provided the response. But just to recap it, my question was, if we talked about earlier, people are gun shy because they don't want to be upsold. They don't want to, get caught having to have this unexpected expense. Even though it's an emergency, you have this unexpected expense. But what you're saying is that's why you have those insurance policies in place with the assuming you have the appropriate endorsements.
Correct.
And
Glad you said that.
And you hire a professional. When you hire an Adam Humphreys, you will make sure that the only out-of-pocket cost after this catastrophic event is their deductible.
That's correct.
Everything
That's the way
else
it should work, 100%. And if it doesn't work that way, that contractor is either trying to make extra money off of you. They're skeezy. They're trying to squeeze everything they can out of the insurance company.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's room for either one of those, honestly. So
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me on the personal injury side, where we represent people that have been involved in auto accidents and we get them recovery. It's nothing out of pocket for them. It's very similar.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Now, we're using at-fault insurance as opposed to self-insurance, but
certainly, I get what you're saying.
Conceptually, it's the same.
It is. And again, it's a daunting process. And I mean, you're a master of your craft. This didn't happen overnight. You have many years of law school, just like I had many years of study to get my professional licensing. And then not only that, but you have to go and cut your teeth and make a name for yourself and figure this out. And I think the biggest thing is yeah, it's great to have these licenses and be a part of these associations, but I think that tenureship and that track record is really what gets it done. Because at the end of the day, what they teach us in the books are great, but those books aren't in the real world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so much that the insurance companies they're dynamic private entities, and they change the way that they conduct business. They change the way that they will interact with clients, with people submitting claims, and you're not going to know how to handle all of those things unless you're constantly in it, dealing with it,
Oh
sitting
yeah.
on the cutting. You really have a figurative finger on the pulse of how claims are being submitted and what gets
Oh,
approved.
100%. I know just like you do, I travel at least 5 or 6 times a year for continuing ed just to keep my finger on that pulse
Yeah.
and what's happening in surrounding markets. You've got your view of what's happening there, but if you can see the global view or the national view in this circumstance, kind of let you know what's coming and who you need to talk with and where you need to go educate yourself. And you're right, it's ever changing, man. And at the end of the day, I hate to say it, but all these insurance companies report to shareholders,
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
So it's about making that profit. It's not about the quality of the service,
Yeah.
you know?
And they're publicly traded companies. So I like to tell people on our end,
Mhm,
we have clients that don't want to submit, for example, an uninsured motorist
mhm,
claim, or they don't want to have their property damage started with their own insurance.
mhm.
They feel like they're going to get punished somehow. I just want you guys to go and look to see how much money the insurance companies are taking in,
100%.
and what those the C level executive compensation packages and how those compensation packages are tied to not paying claims.
It's asinine, is it not?
It's criminal, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. And I won't give away any names or say anything, but it really does work that way.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for so long, all the adjusters speak and talk, and what you said is 100% accurate, man.
A couple weeks ago, I don't remember who was the guest on the show, but I was saying, what's really ironic is that if insurance companies did what they purported to do, at least on my end as an attorney that has to go and essentially enforce these policies, my job would never exist.
100%.
We wouldn't have billboard attorneys if the insurance product did what it does. So the fact that you consumers are seeing billboards for attorneys for auto cases, for example, auto accidents, the only reason that that exists is because the insurance companies aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
100%, man. 100%. Same thing on my end. You know what I mean? Quite honestly, back in the day, people build their homes. They were their own general contractors. They knew people that did X, Y, Z and all this stuff. And it just doesn't work that way anymore, man. And unfortunately, insurance companies are companies. It says it right there in their name. They try to hide it and say, hey, you're in good hands and like a good neighbor and all this other stuff, right? But at the end of the day, they're a company and they're there to approve so many and to deny so many. And honestly, I think that's why having a good local reputable contractor is so important. Yeah, it might be cool to have a national name or something like that, but that local contractor works with all those adjusters day in and day out. He works with that desk adjuster day in and day out. They work with this branch. They develop those relationships, and it's something I like to tell my customers, you might get a kick out of this. I'm like, yeah, you can get a really bad speeding ticket of super speeders and you can go and try and deal with it in court yourself and get out of it. Maybe you get it reduced. Wonderful, right? But you could also hire an attorney who went to school with the DA, that has lunch with the judge, that knows the whole ecosystem there. And you could probably not have to go in and it's just all going to be dropped,
Right.
And I think it's really important to look at insurance in that same way and look at these large repairs on your home in that same way. Just get a professional. You'll be happier.
Yeah.
Get a landscaper. Are you going to be happier with your yard or, I mean, come on. That's just the reality of it.
Adam, I could talk to you for hours on end, and we have before.
Certainly.
But for purposes of this show, because we only have so much available bandwidth to actually get this stuff uploaded, I'm going to wrap it up. But you've seen the shows before. At the very end, what I like to do is turn it over to the guest. If there's a question that you feel like I should have asked you that I didn't, or if there's something valuable that you believe the listeners can take away, or if there's just something left in your heart that you feel like needs to be said that hasn't been said yet,
That's awesome.
I turn it over to you.
That's awesome. I think you did a great job covering this for our listeners, and I think you asked some very pointed questions that hopefully they took some notes on, and will serve them well in the future. I think the biggest thing I would say is that, we do live in this day and age of technology, and while technology is such a wonderful thing, I don't think we all use it the right way. And it's great to get a review online or to look up an opinion on something, but talk to your community. be a part of your community. You know what I mean? Like, get to know one another, and that kind of word of mouth is what makes the difference with everything. I thought it was great. You hosted your giving back to the community. I believe it was your 4th year doing this, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, recently, and
Yeah.
came up and had a great time. Like, that's what it's about, guys. Get out and meet some people. Do it. Know your neighbors. And I think the world will be a better place if we do. But outside of that, man, I'm really happy that I got to finally come on and do this. Hopefully, this won't be the last. And love what you're doing. Love the message that you're spreading. And guys, I can tell you, I've known Ollie a very, very long time. He's a first-class gentleman and truly a master of his craft. If you guys have any issues, you definitely should call him. Me, all my employees, my family, we do. So
I
if you don't
appreciate
mind it. Yeah.
I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm humbled with the gratitude. What you said about getting out there and meeting people in the community and being in touch. I think right now, I think that's such an important message. It seems like the world's problems are growing bigger and larger every day, and it's very easy to feel like we're helpless because we're taking on problems on like a national or global scale. You're not going to be able to do that. It's appropriate to feel helpless. You know what you can help? Your home,
Mhm.
your neighborhood, your
Mhm.
subdivision,
Mhm.
your community. You just start there. We're going to be okay.
That's it, man. It's free to be kind. It's
It
easy.
really
You
is.
know what I mean? So, yeah.
I
I don't.
appreciate you, Adam. Great messages, a ton of dad advice.
Mhm.
You're a girl dad just like me, so
Yeah.
you had great dad advice. I knew you would. Listeners, if you got anything valuable from this, please share, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. I'll continue putting out more content. There is a subscribe button. That's really going to help me out, especially on YouTube. My number one listener, Mom, thank you for listening. I know that you're going to have a lot to say to Adam after the show. We'll get in touch and have dinner. I love you so much. Everybody else, I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.